Is there anything that can kill World of Warcraft? Except Blizzard, obviously, killing World of Warcraft, which they are doing at a tremendously amazing pace, honestly. But if there is, I honestly think this is probably the best shot we have. Because this is Runescape. Oh yes, Runescape, but made by Jagex in MMORPG form. And if that sounds wild and crazy, because it is, but considering Runescape is one of the oldest online games in the world, and one of the most popular online games in the world, no, seriously, amongst MMOs, Runescape is what? Rank 3, rank 4, maybe at first rank 5 player wise? Yeah, Runescape is a big deal. And they could honestly maybe pull it off.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So if you hadn't heard the news, this week Jagex revealed a potentially very exciting new game. It's called RuneScape Dragonwilds. This is an open world co-op survival crafting game with third-person combat. It features MMO-inspired character builds where you can take on the role of a warrior, a ranger, a mage, and plenty of other traditional
Unique in spot. Obviously, this is not unique in the slightest, but again, all of those people who say, "Oh, we need innovation, we need something." No, we don't. We just need things done good, okay? We don't need a new World of Warcraft. We need World of Warcraft just to be good again. That's what we need.
RPG themed classes, slashing, shooting, and casting spells against a host of fantasy creatures while collecting loot and exploring a massive open world with its assorted biomes and points of interest. All the while also doing the survival game loop of gathering, crafting, and building. Now, we have only seen a brief glimpse of this game so far, but it's looking quite promising from what little has been revealed, like a hybrid of Valheim and Enshrouded with the added layer of RuneScape's magic.
That sounds good. Sounds actually really good.
Skill system and its world building. Also, according.
Okay, listen, I'm not gonna lie, boys. You know where it's at? You know what it is? It is just, honestly, at the end of the day, if you make Runescape into an MMO format, that's probably gonna be amazing. Because a lot of people know what Varrock is, what Lumbridge is. You know, at least you have heard about it, right? And if if I sound extra hyped about it, that's because I actually have a high blood alcohol level currently. But that's a different story, okay? You work every day, boy. There's no turning back. But this sounds amazing, okay?
To some early hands-on testers who have already played the game in its alpha state, this is shaping up nicely with some very positive early impressions that we will cover later in today's video. I am tentatively quite excited. Like, this looks like something that I would definitely enjoy playing. So today in this video, we're going to go over everything we know about RuneScape Dragonwilds. So for starters, they've released 2 official trailers, a 2-minute teaser, which was mostly environmental flybys, showing off various zones and points of interest. So we see some forest, rivers, medieval towns, castles, ruins, dungeons, swamps, waterfalls, a weather system with thunderstorms, nighttime with this bright stars in the sky, and finally this noxious wasteland. All in all, I would say this looks pretty good in my opinion. The visual style definitely reminds me of a blending of something like Valheim.
Yeah, honestly, this reminds me more of New World, if anything. And that's a good thing, honestly, because New World had a beautiful world, okay? The game was shit. Don't get me wrong, the game was complete garbage. If you play New World and you're gonna argue with me that New World is not garbage, listen, opinion totally ignored, okay? Don't even try. No one likes New World, and the fact that only 5 people and 3 of them are you play it, that is the proof that no one likes this. No one likes New World. But gathering professions, especially mining, dude, that was great. And the world did look good. So if Runescape does those parts of New World correctly, I mean, it's gonna be good.
I'm in Enshrouded. Yes, it's certainly a low pixel count compared to some super high fidelity UE5 games, but it's also built in a way that I think creates a ton of atmosphere. Just in general, I like how this looks. I like how Valheim and Enshrouded look, even though they might not have like the highest graphical asset fidelity. They create appealing worlds to spend time in, and hopefully this is another such example of that. Beyond this 2-minute trailer, there was another brief 30-second trailer, and this one had some gameplay and combat highlights. It opens up with a group of players running through what looks to be a destroyed town. It then cuts to an NPC quest giver. We see this dragon encounter. We got a ranger firing on a goblin. A little bit more.
By the way, just notice that this is not a small dragon, okay? This is you versus Onyxia. This is you versus Nefarian, okay? That's not a small dragon. Actually, this is a lot more because one dragon hand claw, whatever you call it, a frontal appendage, whatever. One of these things is kind of looking at least twice or thrice bigger than the player character. And that's pretty epic, I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty epic.
Giver, we see this dragon encounter. We got a ranger firing on a goblin. A little bit more combat. This spectral axe chopping down trees. There's some base building in here with the player snapping template pieces into place. And then lastly, what looks to be something like a boss fight versus this dragon. Heading over to the Steam page actually gives us quite a lot of detailed information on what to expect. So the game takes place on RuneScape's forgotten continent of Ashenfall, where dragons have awoken. We play as adventurers who must gather, build, skill, and craft to survive while exploring the world, battling fantasy creatures, and ultimately taking down the dragon threat. In fact, it looks like a core
I can feel the hill giants, by the way.
Our loop of this survival game revolves around hunting these dragons. You're going to level up your character, you'll do all the progression with crafting weapons and gear, acquiring powerful spells, and then...
Honestly, how good does this sound? A game where you hunt dragons. My god. No, seriously, in the modern age, that's kind of 10 out of 10.
Tracking down the dragons, using every tool at your disposal to vanquish them. In fact, they word this in a way that implies that there are going to be many dragons for you to track down and fight, with the ultimate goal being to take down the Dragon Queen. The game also features the traditional survival loop of gathering resources which you will use to craft items and build bases, but this is done with a magical twist. For example, you can use spells that will explore ore veins with the snap of a finger, or something we've seen several images of is this conjuring of a spectral axe that you toss out in a straight line, chopping down any trees within its path. It actually looks pretty neat. Now, beyond all the basic survival stuff, there is also...
Okay, that alone honestly sounds like a minute. I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like a minute. Do you honestly think that does not sound interesting? Okay? Crafting, but fun. Good chopping. I literally yesterday talked about the fact that making all the gathering into a mini game is great, and this seems like a one-upping that. Now that seems actually really good, considering the irony is that, well, Runescape is literally no mini games. Well, Runescape 3 has actually mini games with stamina, but still.
So the added layer of the RuneScape inspiration. Here they say you will embark on quest, level skills, and wield powerful magic runes. Jagex goes on to say that the game blends high fantasy with light RPG elements and iconic RuneScape lore. As you explore the world, you'll uncover ancient secrets and battle legendary RuneScape creatures. Also, like many early access survival games, they say that Dragonwilds is going to be heavily shaped by player feedback as it progresses through the alpha in early access into 1.0. and then further beyond.
If this is by Jagex, that's believable, because old school RuneScape is decided by votes in a lot of cases. Well, sometimes the devs literally say, if your vote, we're gonna do it anyway, but, mostly it's kind of a democracy.
Now, in terms of the current state of the game, here's what they say. RuneScape Dragonwilds started alpha testing in late 2024 and is launching in early access in spring 2025, so sometime in the relatively near future. From there, they say that their humble team of heroes will be...
I mean, worst case scenario, we are 1 month away from spring, right?
developing the project with player feedback at its core. Now, moving on to the early access segment of the Steam page, we get some further details. So for starters, they say that their current estimation is that the game will be ready to leave early access at some point in early 2026. However, they will take longer if necessary to make sure the game is as good as it can be for 1.0. This is pretty much what every early access developer says, but worth mentioning. Now, as for the version of the game that will be launching into early access, it is going to contain the first few regions, the survival systems, RuneScape skills, as well as magic survival spells. There will be gear to craft, a robust building system.
Again, if they just make Runescape into a third-person whatever, I'm down. That sounds like something I will love.
Challenging combat, dungeons to delve in, and the first dragon to hunt. So it does appear like when this game comes in early access sometime.
And it's a basic green dragon, by the way. The weakest in Runescape.
In the spring, there will be one dragon hunt to go for. So you're doing all the survival crafting exploration stuff, ultimately gearing yourself up to take down that one dragon. But yeah, it looks like it's just going to be the one dragon, which seems to be a little bit worried, like how much content is there prior to that dragon, and then even post killing that dragon. Maybe still want to power. We have no clue. Maybe it takes 100 hours to kill the first dragon. Like really no clue at this point. We'll see, right? Then throughout the course of early access, their plan is to, of course, add more content and features. This will include new skill spells, more quest enemies, seasonal events, resource types, and expansions to the map.
By the way, what? You know what all the successful games have been doing? I kind of recently came to this conclusion. I think it's hilarious. Think Terraria. What happens? Well, you start collecting basic resources, then you collect more advanced resources like steel, iron, and whatnot. Then you collect more advanced resources. Then you kill a boss that resets the world effectively, and you need to now collect resources of different tiers again and go through it. That's what all of these games do. They just make you do that same thing over and over and over again, and they make you feel like it's progression. And if this game does that, I have absolutely no problems with that, because simple, easy to follow progression, choose whatever you want to make and how you want to progress is literally my jam. So, this sounds great, okay? If the first dragon is 100 hours and then after that you can go do another dragon that's 100 hours because reasons, that sounds perfect, okay?
As in more zones, more areas to explore, and in those areas, more points of interest. And here, they also gave the typical EA game spiel about listening to and implementing changes based on player feedback. Again, it's literally, you could just copy-paste the exact same sentence into every early access game. We're going to really listen to player feedback, and we're going to make the game as good as it could be prior to 1.0. Those two things, they're in all of them, because of course they'd say that. And I believe them. I believe they want to make the best game that they can prior to coming on 1.0, because that means they make the most money that they can. All right. So, in addition to the Steam page, they released a brief Q&A in a video form where they speak to the game's executive producer. Although, to be perfectly honest, this really was just a basic announcement with them saying, hey, we're making this game. It's a survival crafting game in the RuneScape world.
But he has a, I assume, farming skill cape here? So, yeah, again, if they just implement all of RuneScape's skills, we also, by the way, see, what's it called? You see the geysers, and that's a RuneScape 3 skill, divination, I think it's called, or something like that. So they're going deep. They're going deep in this. Maybe you even have invention as a skill in this game that you can do. And again, I think that's awesome.
World, please check it out and follow us on Steam. That was basically a summation of the entire video. However, after that, we got a blog post on the official Jagex website, which gave us yet another overview of the game, but it also gave some details.
Also, what do you want to play, honestly? I mean, you have to pick one, okay? One is kill giant lizard that flies and spits fire with your bros while wielding arcane magics, and the other one is go play World of Warcraft and be a bitch to some twink character. And then nothing happens, and the enemies just lose because reasons, or the good guys lose because reasons, depending on what the plot wants, okay? Pick a side, Western man.
The game, but it also gave some details about an upcoming live stream. So they said, we're so delighted to finally be able to introduce you to RuneScape Dragonwilds as an all-new standalone co-op survival game in the RuneScape universe. Then they touch on the fact that the game has been in alpha testing for a while, saying, you may remember that we put out the call for alpha testers in September last year, and since then, we've been rigorously testing the game with you, the community. The feedback that we receive from our alpha testers has been instrumental in helping us understand our direction and helping us do everything we can to make this game the best it can possibly be.
Okay, this is just effectively marketing spiel.
In other words, what's going to make this game different from Valheim and Enshrouded? Here's what he had to say.
But I think the thing that makes us really stand out is, apart from the fact that it's a RuneScape game, is that we have...
Bro literally woke up and decided he's gonna do the 45 midlife crisis stay-at-home mom do. Damn, boy.
Have our skill spell system. Our survival magic really doesn't turn the system on its head per se, but it really fundamentally challenges how you experience a survival game. Being able to conjure a spectral axe that goes through a row of trees in one swing, being able to explode fallen trees into immediately cut planks or shatter rocks with the snap of your fingers, things like that make it so much easier.
Bro, that is so cool.
To streamline that survival process as you become more powerful.
And you know what? Right out the gate, this was initially one of the things that I found immediately appealing. Like, beyond the similarities that you can clearly draw to Valheim or Enshrouded, the game's magic system I was really interested in. I really hope it's fully fleshed out. Like, if they can take the full-blown range of magic in RuneScape and throw that into a survival game, that would be really interesting, because for the most part, the magic in the other survival fantasy games that I played is fairly basic, bare bones, with not a ton of different options. Like, I love Enshrouded, but its magic system, and especially when you like look at its skill tree, there isn't too much there, or at least I would like to see it more fleshed out. And again, I love Enshrouded, it's a great game, but having a survival crafting game like that with a very deep and very diverse magic system, that would be really cool. But in addition to that, they also touch on something else that I'm quite interested in.
There's so much they can take from Runescape yet, like, you know, teleportation spells you can add. You know, you discover a location, bam, you have a teleportation skill, and you have the... There's so many ways to make grinding fun here.
Interested in, and that is PvP.
Some of the team put together a very experimental PvP build during a game jam. We initially broached the subject with players and we said, hey, would you be interested in testing this? It's going to be very jank.
No.
And the players said, you know what? We want in. We'll give it a go anyway. We'll try it and see how it comes out. They got hands on with it, and it is jank, I must stress. But players said, hey, this is kind of fun. And so it is a toggleable option in our alpha tester builds, and players have been getting to try it out. If in the future...
I mean, if PvP is toggleable, do it.
Players turn around and say, actually, we kind of would love to have dedicated PvP servers in the future or whatever, then we have those options there. And it's about listening to those players and giving them the ideas early, letting us have those conversations and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down, dude. Dedicated PvP servers for players who are interested in it. I think it's a great idea. And I hope they continue to look into that going forward and make that a possibility, because all these games, like, I'd love to have some PvP.
By the way, this guy's saying dedicated PvP servers because he knows. He knows if it's a toggleable option, that's cool, but no one's actually gonna fucking use it. Imagine you're doing something and you forget that PvP is on and someone just, you know... That's right. It would not be pretty.
PvP, at least some options, right? It doesn't have to be a forced PvP full loot drop game or full character death crazy, anything like that, but yeah, I would love to see it personally. Okay, so beyond all of that, like, that's all the official details that we've gotten from Jagex. We also have, as mentioned at the top, some early hands-on impressions from people who have already played the game. The aforementioned alpha testing that's taken place over the past few months, well, people have been playing it, of course, and coinciding with this official announcements that came through this week, some of those players decided to share their experience and thoughts. NDA be damned, apparently. Now, full disclosure, I have not played this game in any form. I have not signed an NDA, so I am not breaking an NDA because I haven't played the game and I haven't signed one. What I'm doing here is sharing the experience of other players who have played the game and just have decided to share their thoughts on it because everyone's talking about it right now.
Do you break an NDA if someone else breaks NDA and then they write what they... Well, they write stuff and you read it? Does that count?
Now, okay, so Here's what we learned from some of the early testers. First off, I gotta say, just in general, there was a lot of genuinely positive praise for the game, with quite a few comments that looked like this. I got to play the alpha for this game, and as an old school RuneScape player and a massive survival game fan, I was super impressed. Normally, everything that Jagex makes that's not old school RuneScape is pretty whack, but I saw a lot of innovation and clever design pulled from contemporary titles like Valheim, as well as plenty of the magic that makes old school RuneScape special. Super excited. That's really good to hear. Or this comment. I was concerned with how they were going to intertwine the skills from RuneScape into a survival game, and I've got to say they really hit the nail on the head. My group had the pleasure of enjoying the alpha testing earlier this year, and it was a blast. We were all Valheim enjoyers. Half the group had never played or had no desire to play old school RuneScape or RuneScape 3, but thoroughly enjoyed testing the game. Now, beyond these generally positive impressions people seem to have, some players also shared some information about various systems, features, and mechanics. So for example, when it comes to the RuneScape tie-ins into this otherwise survival open world game, there's quite a few of elements of transferring between the two, cross-pollination here. So this comment said, you'll find characters and skills which are from RuneScape. You'll find construction as a rabbit hole in itself that you can build some crazy cool houses. You will find yourself going, oh crap, this is what my character does in RuneScape, but the animations are different. Think similar to Elder Scrolls. It's literally like Elder Scrolls, but RuneScape with the NPCs and skills you love plus more. That sounds pretty interesting. Or here's this other comment that said, it's RuneScapey in some good parts, lore writing and humor, but the location is brand new. Magic and runes work similar-ish to RuneScape, but all skills have magical abilities associated with them that cost runes. There's many similar monsters and items, plus the skills themselves, of course. And then finally,
oh, that's a big change. But anyway, it seems like people are happy, but yeah. Well, I hope this works out. This sounds something like I would love. Anyway, that was Forged Gaming 10 out of 10. Bye.